and I don't even care if anyone calls me a Sally, because I'm a snail and I never gonna fail. And you know what? You're gonna have to bail me out of jail.
Legendary filmmaker and his wife never imagined danger would come from inside their own home. The one place meant to be safe turned into heartbreak, and it didn't come from a stranger. It came from someone close, someone trusted. Rob, known for stories about love and family, suddenly found himself living one that felt like a nightmare. His son, Nick Reiner, had battled personal struggles for years, but no one knew how dark things were about to get.
That is totally falsified in every way.
Investigators later revisited old comments Nick made about his dad, words that now sound haunting. They hinted that tension had been building long before it finally exploded. The devastating night hit on December 13th, 2025, a night that should have been filled with joy. Rob and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, attended a Christmas party hosted by Conan O'Brien. Laughter and lights filled the room until things suddenly shifted. Witnesses said a loud argument broke out between Rob and Nick, stopping the music cold.
They know the David who go on stage, who has his ways about him, but, they really want to know what's inside.
This wasn't a quiet disagreement. It was intense, emotional, and impossible to ignore. Guests described Nick's behavior as unsettling, the kind that sticks in your mind. One person told investigators, "Nick had everyone on edge." That comment spread fast as detectives began piecing together what came next. Rob tried to keep calm, not letting things blow up in public. Michelle stayed right beside him, steady and composed. When they finally left, it didn't look rushed. Just two parents trying to protect their family before things went too far.
We're close to making a deal that will, of course, make him the worldwide star that he deserves to be.
$50 million on the line. And they were practically just jacking me off the whole time.
Later that night, Rob spoke with Eric Idle, sounding upbeat and full of creative energy for the Spinal Tap sequel. Nothing in his tone hinted at fear. But behind closed doors, Rob had told friends something terrifying, that he was afraid of his own son. It wasn't anger, it was fear, the kind that comes from feeling helpless. That fear became reality in the early hours of December 14th, inside their Brentwood home. The LA District Attorney's Office confirmed the incident happened before sunrise.
My mouth is getting a little parched because of how much I'm talking to y'all, but
And we really haven't delved into anything deep, so.
By 3 p.m., their daughter, Romy Reiner, who lived nearby, went to check on them after repeated unanswered calls. The moment she stepped inside, she knew something was horribly wrong. She called for help immediately. Paramedics and LAPD officers arrived fast, but both Rob and Michelle were found unresponsive. Within minutes, the home was sealed off and detectives launched a full-scale investigation. Then came the chilling twist. No forced entry. Every door and window was untouched, perfectly intact. That meant one thing. Whoever did this was already inside, or maybe even welcomed in. Neighbors told police they hadn't heard a sound that night. No alarms, no shouting, just silence. Eerie silence. In quiet Brentwood, where noise carries easily, that silence was haunting. Investigators said the person who moved through the Reiner home did so with focus and control, like someone who knew the layout by heart. There were no signs of struggle, no mess, just calm precision. As detectives built the timeline, suspicion turned straight toward Nick Reiner. Records showed he left soon after the incident and checked into the Pierside Hotel in Santa Monica around 4 a.m. Staff said he seemed completely normal. Calm, polite, no sign of panic. But when he checked out, investigators searched the room and found evidence linking him directly to what had happened in Brentwood. That discovery locked him into the critical hours of the case. His stay was short, gone again within hours. By later that day, surveillance footage caught him at a gas station near Exposition Boulevard. walking in casually, grabbing a drink, and leaving without hesitation. He looked calm, collected, almost too calm. That composure clashed sharply with what investigators believed had already unfolded that night. By 9:15 p.m., police finally tracked Nick Reiner near Exposition Park, close to the USC campus. Patrol cars surrounded him quietly, creating a tense but controlled standoff as bystanders watched in shock. Nick didn't run, didn't resist. He stood still, followed every command, and within minutes, it was over. Cuffs clicked, silence returned, and Los Angeles was left stunned. By the end of that night, detectives weren't chasing theories anymore. They were connecting dots. A family argument, a silent house, no forced entry, and a trail that led straight from Brentwood to Santa Monica. Still, one haunting question remained. What really happened inside that house? That's when the case entered a darker phase. Once the home was sealed, forensic experts combed through every inch, patient, precise, searching for the truth hidden in silence. With no cameras or timestamps, science became their only witness. Body temperature, muscle stiffness, microscopic traces, every clue mattered. The question driving them was simple but chilling. When did Rob and Michelle Reiner lose their lives? The coroner's findings were devastating. Both had died in the early morning hours, almost 12 hours before being found. That matched what detectives suspected. The tragedy happened during the quietest part of the night, while neighbors slept, unaware of what unfolded so close to home. Then came the forensic shocker. Both victims had multiple sharp force wounds, proof that the attack was close, personal, and unrelenting. These weren't distant or accidental strikes. They were face-to-face, direct, and filled with fury. The sheer number of injuries left investigators shaken. This wasn't quick. It lasted longer than anyone expected. Legally, repetition means intent, a choice to keep going instead of stopping. The evidence pushed prosecutors to charge Nick Reiner with 2 counts of first-degree homicide, 1 for each parent. In California, that's as serious as it gets, a charge reserved for deliberate, calculated acts. But prosecutors went even further, adding special circumstances for multiple victims, instantly elevating the case to the highest legal level possible. This wasn't just another legal formality. It changed everything. The charges now carried the harshest penalties the state allows. If convicted, Nick could face life in prison without parole, or worse. The Los Angeles District Attorney's Office stood firm, calling this their strongest case yet, backed by airtight forensic evidence and a clear timeline of events. What began as a private family tragedy had now exploded into one of LA's biggest courtroom dramas. By December 17, 2025, when Nick appeared for his first hearing, the weight of it all filled the courtroom. He was escorted in quietly, eyes down, as the room fell completely silent. No cameras, no live feeds, only a handful of reporters and attorneys allowed inside. That total lockdown said it all. This was no ordinary case. It was Hollywood's darkest chapter unfolding in real time. When the doors opened and Nick Reiner walked in, sheriff's deputies led him straight to the defense table. The room went dead silent. Not a whisper, not a shuffle, just that thick, heavy quiet that makes your chest tighten. Every step echoed like a drumbeat of tension. This wasn't just another court hearing. It was the moment Los Angeles realized the Reiner family tragedy had turned into something historic. Then came the detail no one could ignore: Nick's outfit. He was wearing a harm prevention smock, the kind given to inmates under high-risk watch. It was visible to everyone, yet no one said a word. The judge didn't acknowledge it, and neither did the attorneys. The silence surrounding it spoke volumes, heavier than any comment could. As the hearing started, the courtroom froze in eerie stillness. The charges were read in flat, legal language. 2 counts of first-degree homicide, 1 for his father and 1 for his mother. No emotion, no story, just the brutal sound of the law being laid down. When asked if he understood his rights, Nick gave one calm, short answer. No plea, no questions, no visible reaction. He sat there motionless, eyes straight ahead, completely unreadable. After that, things moved to logistics. His defense attorney asked for more time before entering a plea, and the judge agreed, setting a new date for January 7th, 2026. The prosecution didn't object. No drama, no arguments. Just procedure rolling forward in chilling silence. By the end, one thing was crystal clear. This was just the beginning. The air in that room was thick with tension, like everyone could feel the storm that was coming next. Then came another shock. Nick's lawyer, Alan Jackson. Not just any attorney, but a heavyweight known for tackling the toughest, most controversial cases in Hollywood. This wasn't luck or convenience. It was a calculated move. Jackson had represented Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, and Karen Reed, names that lit up headlines worldwide. His presence sent a clear message. This wasn't just defense. It was a declaration of war. The courtroom could feel it. This battle would be long, brutal, and fought line by line. When the session ended, Nick was quietly escorted out the same way he came in. No words, no glance at the press, just the echo of his footsteps fading down the hall. Minutes later, reporters rushed to file their stories, whispering in disbelief. The room emptied fast, but outside, the buzz exploded. The quiet inside had turned into chaos outside, and the entire city was now watching every move of the Reiner case. By that afternoon, one burning question dominated headlines. Who was paying for Nick Reiner's defense? Legal insiders knew the truth. A double first-degree homicide case with special circumstances could drag on for years, racking up massive costs. Between expert witnesses, forensic teams, and non-stop motions, bills like this easily top $1 million before the trial even begins. But here's where things got strange. Nick had no career, no steady income. So how was this powerhouse defense being funded? That question spread fast, and theories exploded. Some whispered that money from the Reiner family estate might be covering the costs, a twist that made an already tense case even murkier. Soon, debate erupted over whether that was even legal. Experts rushed to explain that the answer wasn't simple. In some cases, shared or inherited assets can pay legal fees. In others, it sparks massive disputes between relatives. Everything depends on how the estate is structured and who controls it. Inside the courtroom, though, no one said a word. The judge didn't ask where the money came from, and the defense didn't volunteer an explanation. Officially, it stayed off the record, but outside, the chaos was instant. Public opinion split in two. Some said everyone deserves the best defense possible, no matter the crime. Others were outraged at the idea that family-linked funds might be used to defend someone accused of something so horrific. Inside court, things stayed calm and procedural, but outside, emotions were on fire. Even within the Reiner family, tension was real. Sources claimed some relatives weren't focused solely on punishment. They wanted Nick to get serious mental health treatment, believing this tragedy came from years of pain that never healed. For them, this wasn't just about guilt. It was about understanding what broke. The case had now grown far beyond evidence or law. It was tangled in deeper questions: loyalty, morality, and what justice really means. Yet officially, none of that emotion appeared in the record. No filings, no confirmed statements, just whispers. Meanwhile, prosecutors stood firm. They insisted the evidence supported the harshest possible charges. They pointed to the brutality of the act and Nick's cold, calculated behavior afterward, saying it met every legal standard for first-degree homicide with special circumstances. Under California law, that left just two outcomes if convicted: life without parole or the most extreme punishment allowed. No plea deals, no middle ground, no way out. As the media storm grew, detectives kept working quietly behind the scenes. reviewing footage, rechecking files, and tightening reports for what was quickly becoming one of Hollywood's darkest courtroom sagas ever. Everyone close to the case knew the next phase would be even heavier. The courtroom might have looked calm, but the pressure was boiling underneath. And it was clear Nick Reiner wouldn't stay silent forever. Soon, attention turned to something he'd said long before the trial, words that would hit harder than ever and change how people saw the entire story. From the outside, Rob Reiner looked like the perfect father, successful, loving, and deeply involved. He shared strong bonds with his other children through routines and laughter. But for Nick, things felt different. The home looked steady, yet inside he felt disconnected, loved, but never truly seen. It wasn't neglect. Rob tried hard to give Nick everything: comfort, care, opportunity. But success in Hollywood comes with long hours and constant distance, the kind that slowly builds emotional walls. Nick had every resource a child could want, yet something inside him still ached. That quiet loneliness shaped the choices he'd make later on. Instead of peace, Nick searched for escape. That's when substance use took hold, starting small, but quickly spiraling out of control. By his mid-teens, he needed professional help. The Reiners didn't deny it. They fought for him relentlessly. Rehab, therapy, interventions, they did it all, refusing to give up no matter how many times it fell apart. Nick later admitted those struggles became a trap, powerful, destructive, and nearly impossible to break free from. Progress came in waves, but every step forward brought another setback. Hope and heartbreak became the family's constant cycle. Over time, his instability grew deeper, drifting across Maine, New Jersey, and Texas, always chasing something steady but never finding it. Through every fall, Rob and Michelle never let go. They stood by him, pouring in love, money, time, and every ounce of patience they had. They faced his battles publicly and privately, never hiding the truth. Their mission wasn't blame. It was survival, trying again and again to pull their son back from the edge. At one point, Rob took a bold step. He brought Nick into his creative world. In 2015, they worked together on Being Charlie, a film born from Nick's real-life struggles. For a brief moment, everything seemed different. Nick had focus, purpose, and connection. Those close to the family said he looked steadier than ever, but the calm didn't last. The old habits crept back, and the chaos returned harder each time. Eventually, concern turned into fear. That emotional gap Nick once described never truly healed. Love mixed with guilt, hope tangled with exhaustion. And by the time that Christmas party arrived, the pressure had been building for years. That argument wasn't random. It was the final crack in a foundation already ready to collapse. In the days that followed, the family released a short joint statement from Romy and Jake Reiner. It wasn't about blame or the case. It was about heartbreak, love, and grief. They asked for privacy, and since then they've remained silent. No interviews, no media appearances, just quiet mourning. A private memorial came soon after. No cameras, no spectacle, just peace. Hollywood paused to remember Rob Reiner, not just the filmmaker, but the man, the mentor, the heart that made people feel safe to dream big. Tributes flooded in, emotional, raw, and filled with respect. And now the question lingers: what really happened? Was Nick Reiner truly responsible? Or is there something deeper buried beneath years of pain, loyalty, and silence? The truth feels heavy, twisted in layers no one's fully ready to face. So now it's your turn. What do you believe? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share your take on this heartbreaking Hollywood mystery, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more dramatic deep dives into the stories shaking the industry.